What's going on, family? Kevin and Jesse here today with you guys, the Elite State of Mind podcast. Jesse, how you doing today, man?
I'm great, man. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. Family, make sure you guys go ahead, like, follow, and subscribe to the YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram page for us. Hit that little bell for me on YouTube so you get reminded every Wednesday morning as Jesse and I take you guys to work. Family, what we're going to talk about today, March is Women's History Month. So what we want to talk about, family, is some strong, successful women, in the past, some in the present, how we can celebrate them, and then just, some of the issues or barriers that they have been, dealing with and still dealing with. And so what we did, for a little bit was we talked to some women, got, their input on these things and some of the women that inspired them, and some of the things that they feel like, still need to be addressed in today's world. Jesse, what were some of the, some of the women that were names given to you that were inspiration to those?
Well, one off the rip that was given was Miss Billie Holiday.
Okay.
And I'm going to read the quote that was given. Okay. So, Billie Holiday, beautiful woman that has some mental health concerns and trauma, but still was able to deliver a powerful message and still stands for what she believed in.
Okay. Nice. We got, Billie Holiday. She sounds like haven't heard of her before myself. So I'll definitely, do some looking into her. We got, one of the fan favorites, Harriet Tubman. We had, Maya Angelou, one lady that I hadn't heard of, Lucia Harris, who was drafted, kind of the pioneer of what people believe to be, women's basketball, WNBA wise.
Yeah.
Of course, we got another one, Miss Oprah Winfrey. A lot of people, said that she inspired them, for the things that, she was able to accomplish.
Right.
Do you have any women that may have inspired you along your journey?
Man, I think for sure, like just my own mother, my grandmother. We start there, man. Just holding it down and just 8 children, still working, still being able to, do what she had to do. My own mother, starting off being a single mother, going back to school. I think the strength of being able to go back to school and, have me with her still. Full-time student, full-time athlete.
Sure.
Becoming, national champion while doing all of that, from the stories, it just let me know there's nothing that I cannot do. Right? That strength is seeing that I have no excuse.
Right.
Like at any point in time in life, growing up through childhood, adolescence, young adulthood to adulthood, no matter what comes, there is no excuse. And that you can do it. You can overcome. You stay the course to your plan, execute, and you can do it. You can get it done. And so, I'm forever grateful for the situation in which, I even came about was rough. You know what I mean? It was just rough from the get-go. So, I got to start from that point.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, lots of wonderful women, like, just throughout. But, yeah, dealing with, a grandma and a mom, hey.
Okay. Always got to shout out.
That. Yeah,
always got to shout out to Mama,
for sure,
for all of the great lessons, that she taught us. Now, I really believe, one of the best things about, looking into, this being, Women's History Month is that you do see, all of the barriers that many of these women, were able to overcome, from, whether it was, single motherhood, whether it was, from being discriminated against or not being thought of, being as good, as some of their male counterparts. Right. And then you take, black women specifically who, one just being a woman and then being a black woman, in America that have, both of those, what people would consider stigmas and, not empowering them, and letting them know that they're black is beautiful and they can be excellent in all of these things that they do go, and accomplish to be, great poets and great writers and to be business owners and, to be these CEOs that they, have now become and get a little bit more, opportunity that they get now. Like you said, it's an inspiration because you look at that and you're like, well, why am I not? Why am I using these excuses?
It's deep, man. Everyone's deep. And to be able to see, shout out Bird, just being able to see, just the educational endeavors, like being able to stand upon the shoulders of those that come before them. To now we see, the women in our lives that are, obtaining, master's degrees and professional certifications against our odds. Like you said,
right.
Being a woman, one, being a black woman, two, or being a woman of color, like, you're consistently told what they, can and cannot do, what box they should fit into, and to yet and still be able to say, forget that. I'm going to do it, my way. I'm going to do it how, it feels to me, and I'm going to be the very best version of myself that I can be, man. It's nothing short of phenomenal.
That's very true. And that was, when a lot of the women that were talking back to us, and they were talking about, Miss Maya Angelou, they were referencing, her poem, A Phenomenal Woman. And I think that's a very important thing, because the word associations with those things are very, powerful. And if you are telling yourself, or if you're telling, other women, your daughters, your nieces, that they are phenomenal. And not just, you can always tell somebody, oh, you're good. Oh, you're okay at this. But to use words like phenomenal, amazing, and great, it takes your mindset to another level and allows you to, tap into something that's a little bit more. So I think that's great that they are, carrying those things on. I know we have, know many women now who are moving into the world of entrepreneurship, doing so many, great and, phenomenal things, to use that word again, that allows them to, operate in their gifts and talents, and showcase so many of those things. And then some of the present day women that were said to have inspired some, we got the great Serena Williams, the GOAT of tennis, former First Lady, Miss Michelle Obama. Really love Miss Michelle Obama, just for the fact of, being in the health and wellness industry, and, the fight that she, started in, the public school system to, just have the kids eat better.
Right.
I mean,
right.
And, it's crazy because, it takes a mom to want their child to, go to school and get some good nutrition, before you try to teach them something. And it's crazy how you would see people try to fight against that. Why are you fighting against somebody wanting all the children to get better nutrition, to be able to learn better, to play better, and be in a better overall mood?
Right.
And her fight to continue to do that, even now, her and old Barry O are in office, to continue, to try to crusade that thing and to make, so much headway is great. So were you going to read that?
No, man, I'm just taking a look, man, at that particular poem, by, the late Dr. Maya Angelou. And just the intro, right, to in and of itself, phenomenal woman, that's me,
right.
Period. It's letting you know from the get-go. I'm not introducing myself just as merely something that is just to be passed over.
Sure.
I'm letting you know out of the gate, this is who I am. That's me, right? That's volume. I don't think a lot of people really, can get the particular weight of that.
Right.
And what that means, especially at the time in which it was written, especially by a woman of color.
Right.
Right, in these United States.
No, because they weren't supposed to be phenomenal.
Right.
Not supposed to consider themselves to be that. So that's why it's, at the time more probably, considered very rebellious or, taboo. How dare you look at yourself in this manner? How dare you, as a woman, feel like you should be phenomenal.
Right.
But she had enough in herself and said, you don't get to place value on me.
You do not.
I place my own value upon myself, and I'm phenomenal. And there's nothing you can do to take away from my phenomenalness.
You love that. You love that. There's nothing that can be done about it. It just is. It just is because I am.
Right.
Yeah.
And I do believe, that's definitely one thing, like you said, from Aunt Didi that, you take and you understand that, and she always tell me, son, when you put your mindset to something, why aren't you doing it?
Yeah.
There shouldn't be anything to stop. And, for her, from, learning that she was, going out winning national titles before national titles were a big thing.
Right.
Being that pioneer, you're like, man, like this is cool. But, then when they don't get the recognition, you're like, oh man, you wish, that, they would have, because those stories can touch so many more, so many more young women that, may not believe that they are phenomenal.
And you know what? Now that you said that, like, the stories have gone untold. I think she was a trailblazer because not just her, but her team as well, because they were featured in Sports Illustrated. And definitely it was something that we as men have to push those stories to the forefront. We got to do a better job of making sure that, those who paved the way, these women who paved the way, that we're definitely, like my younger brother said all the time, like, I got to give you your flowers while you're alive.
Very
while
true.
you can still smell them, man. And we got to do a better job, definitely, of that.
Right. That was, that was kind of one of the other questions that we asked was, how can we, just society as a whole, celebrate, and cultivate, the characteristics of, these phenomenal and amazing women. One of the answers, being, that, just to create a field and realize, what these phenomenal women are. Give them a space, give them an opportunity, to showcase, their gifts and their talents and all of these other things that they are out here accomplishing. Again, I find one of our responses of what women were doing, that there are more, CEOs and presidents of colleges, and there are more women, owning businesses, more women, getting into, male-dominated fields of, sports casting and all of these things. And one lady who comes to mind is, Miss Shonda Rhimes, just in the world of entertainment, the show that she created, Grey's Anatomy, that's still going. And I remember when it first came out, everybody was watching that joint. And I don't think many people knew at the time.
I didn't know at the time
that this show was created by a black woman. And then you had,
I didn't know it.
Private Practice was spun off of that. Scandal was another one. Oof. I watched all the Scandal.
Yeah, Scandal.
Scandal was a joint.
Scandal was a scandal.
Yeah, man. Fritz never should have been in office because he was scandalous. But you think about it, and how many opportunities were, how many projects were not brought to light because it was a woman who created it,
right?
Or how much, what credit was stolen,
right?
From
often
a woman who created, something of that nature. So it's definitely something we can do, to give them, these spaces and these opportunities, and to celebrate them, and tell them, hey, great job, that was a beautiful project.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I thought about when you said that was, we see the movie Hidden Figures, right? How many times when they called her a computer. Right? How many times she would write the report? And I remember one scene, the guy that was supposed to be working with her, but tried to be domineering and say that he was her boss. He turned to her and said, "How many times do I need to tell you that computers don't author reports?" That it didn't deter her. The next time she had to give that report, guess what? Her name was still on it. And eventually, as the movie goes on, as the story is told,
right,
guess whose boss she became?
Hey,
right?
That's the thing. Like our auntie told us a long time ago, don't be no hater, baby.
Right, don't be a hater.
Because it's not gonna work out well for you.
Not at all.
It's not gonna work out well for you in the long run to just continue to hate on people.
Right.
It never dims your light.
No, not at all.
To celebrate somebody else.
Not at all. And so, speaking of celebrating, we got just one more quote as to how we can do better and be better in celebrating.
Okay.
So the quote says, "You can celebrate phenomenal women by letting them shine without disclaimer." It's pretty deep, man.
That's
pretty deep.
You and maybe and hopefully this person maybe they'll be watching, and family, you guys go ahead and comment and let us know. The disclaimer is, oh, you did great for a woman.
Right.
Oh, that was amazing for a black woman. Right. No, just let them be amazing. Just let them. That was great.
The second part of the quote is, "She is great because she is simply great."
Facts.
Period.
Facts.
Period.
Very, very, very true.
Yes.
And that is something that I think so often people do it subconsciously.
Oh, for sure.
And they may not mean to slight, but you got to stop doing those things and just let people be great simply because they are. One of the other things, the other questions that we asked was, what are some of the issues that are, women, you still feel like women are dealing with today. And a lot of it, what we might touch on this for a little bit, was, the problem of equal pay in the workplace and equal opportunity in the workplace. And, for me, that's definitely something that touches home because I have a daughter, and so I always tell her that she's great, that she is amazing, and she can do all of these things, and that she deserves to operate in her gifts and her talents. Right. And you want to see a place, you want to see in America where she can grow up, and if all parts being equal, if all things being level on, her competing for this job or this, whatever it is she goes into, God will, that if all talents are equal, she could get the same. Right. And not have to jump through, 96 more hoops.
That's right.
Or not have to climb, 3 more ladders.
Yeah.
Just to climb another ladder that her brother being a male may not.
Right.
And so that, that for me is, it's still something I don't know if it's gotten much better. I think, a couple said it's gotten somewhat better, but there's still a long way to go.
Definitely a long way to go. Definitely. I mean, the data is still showing that the pay disparity is still a great caveat there. It still hasn't reached, I think, anywhere close to what it should be. Right? So that fight is still on. That battle is still raging on, as it should.
Right.
As it should. Because, again, there are many phenomenal women that have contributed to, the successes of life here in the United States and across the world. And so for us to continue to just step on them just because, they are women, just because that's how the structure was set up. Let's call it spade to spade.
Right.
Right? It was set up, and all the writings, the majority of these laws weren't set up to favor women. So we got to champion that particular cause.
Right.
Right. And the way that we get that equal pay there, we got to change some laws. We have to lobby to get some things in place, to get some things in writing. Since our structure is one of contracts,
right,
we have to get it set up in that way.
Everything has to go through the law,
right,
for those things to actually become effective. Because if you leave it up to people, if you leave it up to me, and the system is always meant to benefit me, am I really going to buck the system?
No.
Am I going to change it?
No.
More than likely not.
No.
Not until it's something that hits home. Not until it's something that affects me. And now I have to look at myself in the mirror and go, ooh,
right,
that probably wasn't the best way to do that. One of the other answers we got to that question was the problem of women loving women. And I can't necessarily speak on that,
right,
from because obviously I'm not a woman,
right,
so I do think just as as a man, you see that sometimes with men, like we'll be haters. Just going back to the quote our auntie gave us, don't be haters. Right. There's no problem with encouraging somebody who's doing well.
No.
And I think you're going to find the more encouragement you give out, that the better your life is going to be.
Right.
Because then you're going to find more people that will, in turn sit there and encourage you, because there's so much competition and not enough collaboration.
Ooh,
and again, as you said, with there being so many, great women that are great in so many aspects, maybe the answer is collaboration. I
think so.
with one another.
Yeah, I think so. I think, like you said, I'm not a woman, so I won't try to be in the seat and speak from that perspective. But from a male perspective, looking from the the outside in, I do agree with the statement. There should be more collaboration. There should be more celebration. And I think before you can collaborate, you have to celebrate.
Sure.
Right? And so that movement, I do see it. I do see it coming, into fruition. That women are doing their best to celebrate one another. Are they getting some kickback? Are they getting some hate back? Yes, they are. Yes, they are. But I just want to encourage, women everywhere to keep celebrating, the accomplishments of other women.
Right.
Celebrate your own accomplishments.
Got to celebrate the small victories. That's one thing
that we learned, is celebrate the small victories.
Got to.
Because they help give you the energy to continue to push forward and to push on when you do hit little hiccups and bumps in the road. But I think the more you celebrate, the easier it becomes for you to collaborate.
Sure.
Right? Because you're no longer in isolation with the thoughts of you can't get it done, you can't do it, this, that, and the other. If you're celebrating, others and encouraging others and therein encouraging yourself, so therefore that positive energy makes it easy for somebody else to want to come along and partner up with what you have going on.
For sure. That's that definitely has to continue to happen. The celebration, year long.
Yes.
365 days of celebration.
Yeah.
Because you get a win every day.
Yes.
You get a win every day.
For sure.
One of the other barriers that was said was women, owners in sports. Mm-hmm. More women owning, sports franchises or being, general managers, things of that nature. Yeah. And, that's always, been kind of the last stronghold.
Yeah.
And, the craziest thing about that is, because we won't get into the comparison of, should women be able to play, different sports. I mean, if you want to, hey, go out there.
Yeah.
The crazy part is, what does she know about football? How can she coach, this position? Well, can she read? Does she got eyes to, can she see? She can comprehend, right? Just like you and I.
Yeah.
So she can probably go coach it.
Right.
You may be a little threatened because maybe she can do it as good as you.
More often than not, that's the issue, man.
Especially when we're dealing in the sport of football, and I know it was when the 49ers were in the Super Bowl a couple years ago when they got mopped up by the Chiefs.
Yeah.
They had a female coach, on their coaching staff as well.
Yeah.
And I think the Buccaneers had one.
Yes.
Last year, also, and you just heard so many people like, oh, that's dumb, they're gonna lose, or that's gonna lead to them not being as prepared in whatever aspect. And
that statement was crazy. Not being prepared.
Like you don't know many women who aren't prepared.
That's right.
That's right. You just don't. So at the least they'll be ready to go.
The attention to detail.
Mm-hmm.
Their eye. Like people don't. I think even as men we don't understand that importance because the attention to detail and then the keenness of eye.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Their ability to see what we as males cannot.
True. Two different lenses.
You can't put a value on that.
You cannot.
And it's one of the reasons why they, the Buccaneers performed as well as they did, because I'm certain they were able to see some things in preparation and even in the midst of the game that oftentimes, as men, we probably overlook.
Those are facts. Those are facts. So that's definitely a thing. I believe the Rams was there when they won with Kurt Warner. I believe their owner was a woman.
Oh yes.
At the time, so you there have been some, but still the opportunity is not afforded to enough,
right,
to get in there and to do those things and to be able to showcase their talents because they're going to be the same. I remember when women were first starting to officiate, and you heard people being upset about that, or if they were on the sports shows, doing more than maybe just introducing a topic because now me and we'll watch a little Colin Cowherd. He has Miss Joy Taylor on there, but the great thing about that is she offers a different perspective, and then she'll go on sometimes with Marcellus and Acho on the show that comes on after them, and especially when they were talking about. I remember Art Briles was supposed to go coach down in
at Grambling.
At Grambling, and she was in that conversation, and it offered a perspective that men couldn't give. As to why we probably shouldn't let this cat,
right,
be a leader of men,
right.
Again, not that he should never get a job,
right.
Not that maybe he should never, be an analyst, or,
right.
But we just probably shouldn't put him in a position to cultivate young minds.
Yeah.
Again, in her perspective, on that. Was very eye-opening because, again, it's not one that I could give,
right,
or probably not one in many circles that I'm going to run into.
Yeah.
And so we need more of those, more of, women like her to give those, perspectives and to help us understand why it's just probably not the best idea for some people not to be in,
right,
in certain situations.
Yeah.
So, Jesse, before we get out of here, what is one way that, you really feel like we can continue to raise some future icons of women?
I think one of the main ways is just to make sure that as men, we can't be easily offended.
Okay.
At the idea.
Mm.
It's the reality is it's male centered. Okay, the world that we live in, but we have to do a job of, because we are emotionally intelligent and aware of pulling the attention that is needed for them to them. Right? So we have a light that's, shining on us, then we need to turn that spotlight onto them every single time they do something. Right? They're to be celebrated. So let's do a better job of making sure, that we celebrate the things that they are doing. Because again, they're doing phenomenal things. They're doing phenomenal work on a day-to-day basis. Sure. Right? And not getting enough credit. Right. Not getting, the press, not getting the thank yous, not getting the love, any of that. So in the position that we are in, let's lift them up.
Okay. I wholeheartedly agree. And again, for men, if you have, a daughter, if you are, married, or you have sisters, aunts or nieces, if we don't treat them like queens, who can we expect to? Because if somebody doesn't see me treating my daughter as a queen, they're more than likely not going to. Right. If they don't see me lifting her up, telling her all that she can be, one, she's not going to have those thoughts about herself. Because she's going to have to wait till she gets into her, 20s, 30s, and then begins to read and say, oh, I am all of these things. I am great. I am wonderful. And it doesn't matter what somebody else tells me. But if we can start it early in life. Now. If we can start, like you said, right now, because the mind is being a blank slate. That's right. When they're young. And all of these things that we can speak into them and let them know that there is nothing that they can't go out there and accomplish. That's right. That they can go out there and do any and everything and be great and phenomenal at it, whatever they set their mind to. And it's not going to demean you.
No, not at all.
It's not going to make you less than.
Not at all.
To go out there and celebrate them, and to, when they have these accomplishments, to throw them a party.
That's right.
You got a promotion?
Yeah.
Hey,
let's celebrate it.
Let's go out to dinner.
That makes you more of a human.
Hey, let me let you know that I want you to win. There is nothing wrong with wanting women to win. Yeah. And it's time for us to continue that and to do even more of it. That's right. Family, we sure appreciate you guys for being with us today and tuning in with us. Make sure you go like, follow, and subscribe to our YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram page. We'll talk to you guys later.